And welcome to the Vision Alignment Show, where we all have to understand that we have blindness in our lives. If we can understand that blindness and understand sometimes we need to take the blinders off. Sometimes we need to put the blinders on. When we put those blinders on, we really get focused on our vision. And when our vision is aligned with our core beliefs, our core values, even our core strengths, then we know we're in the right spot because we're going to be more successful. We're going to be more happy. We're going to enjoy life more. And that is what this is all about, because if we can find that space, then we can find what makes us unique. And finding what makes us unique allows us to serve other people. And serving other people is where true happiness comes from. Someone that's going to join us today who knows a lot about finding her core beliefs and her core values and what makes her unique is my friend, Marilyn Sherman. Good morning, Marilyn.
Good morning, Brian. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good, good. It's good seeing you. Thank you for being on.
Well, it's my pleasure. I love your concept. I love the whole visioning and core beliefs and alignment. I love all those great words. So you put them all together.
Tell us, Marilyn, when is your first recollection of knowing your vision?
I was in high school, and I believe I was about 17 years old, and Roger Crawford came and spoke to our senior leadership class at Mercer Island High School, and his message was such a laser message right into my heart. And I decided, I was so inspired by his speech that I decided that that's what I wanted to do with my life. And so I started to go to motivational seminars and read motivational books. And the core theme throughout all these books were how important it was to have a vision. So I created my first vision statement when I was still in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. If you want to hear more, stay right there. Awesome. Thank you so much, Marilyn. I love how that all happened for you. That's great. Now, for the audience that's out there, I want to make sure that you, when you're listening to this, if you would share this video out with as many people as you can think of, that would be great, because we'll make this community even larger. And it's been phenomenal to be a part of this so far, and it's only going to get better. So thank you so much for doing that. And then, as always, would you please put in a picture in your timeline? And in that picture, I want you to take a picture of yourself and of you winking. And when you wink, I want you to think, you know, if this guy, me, knows what makes him unique, and it's not his eye, I wonder what makes me unique. That's the whole idea behind winking with Wagner. So put that picture in your timeline, tag me on that picture, and then you're actually going to be entered into a raffle to win a free signed copy of my book. Sometimes it does take a brain surgeon, but also put a hashtag on there of winking with Wagner and a hashtag of Brian with one eye. So thank you for doing that. Marilyn, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you. And you can see here, some of our guests have already joined in, and told us where they're coming in from. So it's great to see Linda Kazera and our friend Ted Legal as well. All good stuff. We've got lots of good stuff happening here, and I appreciate that. And actually, that's funny, Ted. You spell my name with a Y. I'm Brian with one I.
Oh, wow. You are funny this morning.
Oh, yeah. I'm hilarious.
Looks like you have some loyal followers for your show, Brian. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We've got some great people.
Great.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit more about your story. Obviously, you've broken it down to understand the high school and Roger Crawford. And Roger Crawford is a little part of the National Speakers Association.
Yes.
What a great speaker and a great guy.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about your story of how you became because I didn't even tell people. Marilyn Sherman is our certified speaking professional, which is a big designation in the terms of the National Speakers Association, but she is also a Hall of Fame speaker. So there's not very many of them around, and that is absolutely very impressive. So to learn what you did from when you're in high school, 17 years old, to doing what you do now and how far you've come, absolutely amazing. I love your story.
Thanks, Brian.
So
what would you like to know?
Well, tell us a little bit more about your story.
Well, I grew up in a really large family, and both my mom and dad had vision as part of their core beliefs. They would always talk about, where do you see yourself next week, next month, next year? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Where do you see yourself at the end of your career? What are your tombstone goals? Write them down. So it was always drilled into me to be constantly living with one foot in the present and one foot into my vision of what I want for my life. And because they instilled in that message in me at a very young age, I was always drawn to motivational speakers who talked about vision, how to create the life that you want, be vision oriented. It's always been a part of my vernacular just because I grew up that way. In fact, you'll find this to be kind of ironic and funny. My mother owned a company called Visions International. And what she did was she took private groups of people on personal tours to Europe and to the Far East. And her favorite place to visit was Japan. And she was the only woman on my block who could speak and write fluent Japanese. Sorry. She could read, write, and speak fluent Japanese. And I was always impressed by that. So wow. being a vision, so both my parents were visionaries, and that was all part of our family culture.
Huh. That is impressive. I've never heard of something like that.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, finding what makes you unique. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you think you would say is the biggest factor in your success?
Well, I've been speaking professionally because that was my dream after I saw Roger Crawford speak. I said, I want to be someone who does that for a living, who inspires the masses. So I started to create my vision at a young age. And so my dad said, Marilyn, you're 17. In order for you to have credibility to speak in front of large audiences, you have to get a job first. And in order to get a job, you need to get a good education. So have that as your dream, but you got to get a college degree first. And you have to determine what your major is by the end of your first year of college. If you don't know what you want to do by the end of your first year of college, you're going to be cut off. So he was always thinking ahead and always forcing me to think ahead. And so I started, with that in mind, I started putting on my own motivational seminars at college in my dorm.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so I was, and this will take you back. This will show how old I am. When I was at that seminar before I graduated from high school, or it was the summer before I went to college. I went to a seminar called Self-Image Psychology by Dick Anderson in Seattle, Washington. And he had us all write our vision statement. And my vision statement was I wanted to inspire the world with positive messages of hope. And I want to be the youngest author, because I want to write a self-help book, on the Phil Donahue show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you make it on Phil Donahue?
I never made it on the Phil Donahue show. I did make it into the audience of the Oprah Winfrey show, however, but hashtag not the same thing.
Did you win a car?
No.
No. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So what did you feel like when your dad made those rules for you?
Oh, I was inspired by that. And so to answer your original question of what has contributed to my success, I think what contributed to my success and still does to this day is that I am an eternal optimist. I always, no matter what, I see that things are going to work out. No matter what, no matter how much the pandemic has caused an upheaval in my business, it's going to work out. No matter that my conference keynote schedule all turned virtual, it's going to work out. Everything's going to work out. So because of my optimism, I have never allowed myself to fall into the trap of discouragement for too long, because there have been dark moments in my life where I'm discouraged. But my mentor, Dr. Nita Quabain, always taught me it's okay to be disappointed. It's not okay to be discouraged. So, and there's a difference. The difference between discouragement and disappointment is when you're disappointed in something, it didn't go your way. It didn't go as planned. It didn't meet your expectations. So you dust yourself off and you go a different direction, or you try again. Discouragement is where you fall down and you don't get up because you don't see any hope in the situation. So yes, there have been times when I've slipped into discouragement, but thankfully, luckily, I have not allowed myself to stay down too long, turn it into disappointment, dust myself off, and then kept going.
Wow. So Nito, Mr. Quabain, Dr. Quabain.
Dr. Quabain.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a very, very influential mentor.
Yes.
How do you end up with a mentor like that?
Well, I believe in investing in your own trade association. So I'm a professional speaker. So I joined the National Speakers Association in 1998. And I've never missed a convention since. And he is a staple in our industry. And I gravitate toward people who are doing, they're further along their career than I am in mine. And we connected at a conference. And he just said, if you ever need any help, let me know. And I've needed help, and he's been there for me. So I've read his books and listened to his audio cassette tapes, and so that's how it all began. And I've had several mentors. Mark LeBlanc helped me early on when I first went out on my own. And now, like Mary C. Kelly is, someone I go to all the time. And Meredith Powell is like an inspiration to me, and my good friend Colette Carlson that I can just share stories with and get inspiration from. So, I could just keep naming names of people that have inspired me, but they're all members of my association, my trade association. So I've invested my time and my money and my energy in my association. That is what I do for a living, right? So we need people in our life that relate to us, that relate to our core values. And then we have that inner circle of friends that you can just let your hair down and be real and know that you'll get support and good feedback.
No, that's great advice. So definitely the way to do things from your perspective, and from a lot of people's perspective, is to join an organization where you can be a part of other people that are like-minded, but have different thoughts than you.
Right.
So we've got a few other people that have joined here. So make sure that we say hello and good morning to our friends, Mark Cusick. Good morning, Mark. It's good to see you coming in from the lake house. Very nice. And our friend Abby Curran. Hi, Abby.
Hi, Abby.
This morning. She is Miss Iowa 2008. And she has cerebral palsy. So great person to have. She was on the show just last week. So phenomenal person. to
So
have.
I've got big shoes to fill.
Yeah. And then there's Ted. Thanks, Ted. I appreciate
Hey,
that.
Ted.
That's awesome. Wow. So there's so much going on.
It's a lot to unpack, Brian. I know.
Yes, yes. There are still things that you have, obstacles and challenges you're still trying to overcome. What are some of those?
Well, I don't like to call them obstacles or challenges. They're really just excuses.
Yeah.
Because no matter what I say is an obstacle that is seemingly insurmountable, there's somebody in the world who had that same obstacle and overcame it and became a big success. So, but my excuses, the things that trip me up, the things that put holes in my bucket list are things like comparison to other people, or you know how sometimes you go on Instagram and you see perfect lives, and you see Facebook and their perfect lives, and you compare yourself to your reality to someone else's completely manufactured, touched up photos and reality. So I get caught up in that once in a while, and if I go down that road, then that's a road of mental destruction. Because comparing yourself to other people does you no service, because when you compare yourself to others, you never come out equal. You always come out better than or less than. Neither one of those serve you. So I don't go on social media as much as I used to, because I just have too much to do, and that can sometimes be, hours could go by, and you're like, wow, I really need to get productive.
Yeah.
So one of the traps, comparison to other people, and I'm I'm so driven in my speaking business, and I know intellectually, I know this for a fact, that a meeting planner is looking for the right speaker with the right message at the right time with the right audience. So it has to be a great fit. But anytime someone else gets a gig, I'm like, oh, I wish I got that gig.
Mm-hmm.
So my mentality is, I'm striving for it. It is an abundant world out there. There's work. There's enough work for everyone, and that will serve me much better than having a scarcity mindset. So those are a couple of things that have tripped me up. But luckily, I don't stay down for too long.
Okay, so the next question I want to ask you is about your clarity. Clarity on, for example, what you speak on. I know you speak on front row leadership,
Yes.
and I'm gonna go away from this. Yeah, right there you go, the chairs.
Yes.
But I'm gonna let you view the rest of the chairs behind you. So tell us a little bit about how you maintain clarity.
Well, I know who I am and what I do. So my whole messaging is around how to get a front row seat in your life. And it's called Front Row Success. It's also front row leadership, front row service. It's about choosing to be in the front row, because we can choose to be in the balcony of our lives, and balcony seats are not good seats. Balcony seats are the cheap seats. They're view obstructed seats. When you're in the balcony of your life, you're disengaged and you feel isolated. You feel disconnected. In fact, you could leave your balcony seat and come back, and no one would have even have noticed that you had left your seat. Then there's the choice of general admission, and general admission is where most people sit. It's the big section where people are meandering around because it really doesn't matter where your ticket is. This is a whole section of general admission. It's a free-for-all. It's not bad, but it's not the best. So this seat in life, when you are in general admission in your life, with your physical life, your personal life, your work life, your relationship life, your spiritual life, what happens is you get complacent. And when you get complacent, you get into habits. And when you get into habits, eventually they turn into ruts, and ruts turn into mediocrity. So it's a slippery slope when you settle for being comfortable in your life, because your competition will pass you right by. And you wake up one day and realize your life has passed you by. So I believe that life is to be meant to be lived in the front row, because you deserve a front row seat in your life, and you get to choose that this day I'm sitting in the front row. I deserve a front row relationship. I deserve a front row work relationship. I deserve front row respect. I deserve a front row physical body. I mean, you deserve a front row seat, unless you're not a good person, then you don't deserve it. But there's redemption, right? So, Brian, yes.
There are no bad people. They're just misguided.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where the redemption and reconciliation comes in.
Yeah.
And you too can choose then to regroup and find yourself in the front row. But here's my message. I don't want to leave people hanging with, it's all about you living in the VIP section, the front row, it's all about you. Because the ultimate front row seat, the ultimate is when you get to be an usher. And you get to be an usher anytime you are living your best life in such a way that you are shining your light for other people to be inspired without you even knowing it. And Brian, you'll like this. This came to me the other day when I was driving through Summerlin. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was driving through Summerlin, and there was, like a lot of cities, there was a lot of construction. And there were a lot of like these orange cones that to help people navigate out of this one section under a freeway underpass and then onto a freeway, either direction you were going. There were all of these cones. All of a sudden I had a minor panic attack because I didn't know where I was going. But guess what? There was a car in front of me. The car in front of me had brake lights and so at that moment, I didn't need to worry about the cones. I just needed to follow those lights. And I was so calm, and I followed the lights of the car in front of me, who very easily navigated through the cones and then literally was going in the same direction I was going to on the freeway. So I literally followed them through the cones and then got safely onto the freeway. And then they were gone and I was on my way. And that's the perfect analogy for when you live your best life, when you're a good person, when you show compassion and courage and kindness, when you overcome adversity and people see your progress, they see your pain, they see you pick yourself up and then go for what you really want and you make it. People see that. Those are the brake lights that people are seeing, the tail lights that people are seeing, and you don't even realize the impact you're making on other people. You've helped navigate them through their challenges without you even knowing it. And that to me is like being an usher for other people.
Wow. I've got chills.
Are they going down your spine?
Oh, that's good. That's so good. Wow. So we talked, you're a CSP, you're a CPAE, all this. What does the next level of success look like for you?
The next level of success looks like for me is I have another book that's coming out called Front Row Success.
Cool.
So I just want to reach more people, because the more people I reach through my books and through my keynote speaking and through my training, the more people can see that there's another way to live with courage, compassion, and kindness. So you don't have to allow the holes in your bucket list to have all of your dreams and aspirations come true. You can patch up those holes with courage, compassion, and kindness. So I want to reach more people with my speaking and my books and doing interviews like this, so people can be more cognizant of where they're sitting and do a sort of a checklist of all the areas, of all the chairs in their life, from their physical health, their mental health, their spiritual health, their work life, their personal life, their friendship, their attitude. Just do a little checklist on each one of those chairs in your life. Where is it? Are you in the balcony, meandering around in general admission? Are you in the front row? And then if you are in the front row, what can you do to help others? What can you do to shine the light and be an usher for other people and lead them to their ideal front row seat?
That's good. That's very good. So tell us, what do you do to recharge? 'Cause you've got lots of energy.
Well, being on a podcast in the morning is definitely seeing your amazing energy is great, but there's something to be said for who you hang out with and who you spend time with. because wasn't it Jim Rohn who said you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure I hang out with like-minded people in terms of we may not agree on things politically, but I want to hang out with people who have positive intent, who are nice people, who are compassionate, courageous, hardworking people. Those are the people I gravitate towards. Those are the people I hang out with. I don't have time for people who are constantly pessimistic about life and constantly playing the victim card. Here's a keeper. You're only a victim once, and then you're a volunteer. And what I mean by that, specifically, what I mean by that, I'm not talking about people who are victimized by others. I'm talking about people who allow negativity into their mind and don't do anything about it, who allow other people to mistreat them and they never say anything about it. So then it becomes a habit for them to always be mistreated that way. So you can choose to stand up, to say something, to draw the line, to set a boundary. So I'm talking specifically right now to people who lack confidence and courage to speak their truth. People who don't believe that they deserve a front row seat in life, that they don't believe that they deserve healthy relationships. I'm speaking directly to them. You have the right to speak up. You have the right to have to be treated with respect and kindness every single day in your life, especially in your relationships. And if that's not the case, set a boundary and say that I did not give you permission to treat me that way, or I did not give you permission to speak to me that way. And then you find a way to get the help you need. So there are people that live their life just constantly saying how horrible things are, and they're constantly a victim of circumstance, or a victim of the economy, or a victim of the coronavirus, or a victim. And we're all susceptible, but we can shift our mindset so that we can keep ourselves safe and make healthy choices.
Yeah, so being the victim is definitely can be a blind spot. Who sees your blind spots?
Who sees my blind spots?
Yeah, and tells you about them in such a way that you listen to them.
Well, I mentioned my colleagues at the National Speakers Association who know me really well, and I'm on a text thread every week with them, and people that I know, because they know me and because I know them, there's a level of trust. So, for example, if I post something and get some negative feedback, which doesn't really happen to me a lot, but there are trolls on the internet, and I have to recognize that, do I know this person, and does this person know me? Do I trust this person, and does this person trust me? And if I can't say yes to that, then I don't listen to them, because I know there's a certain group of people in my life that they will tell me the truth. And because of who they are and because of the trust that I have with them over the years, I know I my blind spot they shine a light on it. So it's people that I trust in my inner circle, not the masses. It's the inner circle of people that I trust.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Our time has flown by again.
Wow. That was fast.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What would you leave our audience with if you could leave something for them?
No matter what you're going through, if you are feeling that sense of discouragement, and I'm trying to shift it to disappointment as opposed to discouragement, but if you're just in that dark place, and I understand, I get it, I've been there. One way to help you get out of it immediately is to be of service to somebody else who cannot repay you. Because if you have a heart of service, it really does just feel good to know that you made a difference for someone else without any expectation of anything in return. That will boost your energy. That will boost your mood, and it'll boost your attitude. So I encourage each of you listening to this today to find a way to be a light for someone else. Do something to be of service for somebody else, even anonymously. And just see how that shifts your mindset and makes you super, super grateful for what you have, and to recognize that your discouragement or disappointment can be a blessing. Because then one day you get to say, wow, look how far I've come.
Yeah, but you need to make sure that you look back on those days and celebrate that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being on. This has been
Well, this has
phenomenal.
been great. So congratulations on your show, Brian.
Thank
Continued success to you, and keep helping people find vision and alignment with their mission.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna weave off, but I'm gonna close out the show and I'm gonna send you back to the green room. But I would like to come in and talk with you a little bit more after we're done.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Marilyn. Bye. Wow, what a great show. Marilyn Sherman really knows how to position herself in such a way that she is always giving to other people. And that's a phenomenal aspect of having a friend like that, is to have the association benefits from people like her, because it makes more people like her. And those encouragers are what we all need. So can't thank her enough for being on today. Next, we have tomorrow. We have two shows. We have the 10 o'clock Vision Alignment show, where it'll be me talking about our blind spots. Really going to go deeper into blind spots. But then also at 11:30, we have April Juke, who's going to be on at 11:30, and she's going to be on for Radical Vision for Disabilities. Now, April is she's a phenomenal person, but she has 7 kids, and 3 of them were born with hearing disabilities, and one of them has autism on top of that. So I may have those numbers mixed up, but she's phenomenal. So we're going to talk to her about being a caregiver, also about people with those disabilities that are important for us all to understand what they're going through. So look forward to that. And then we have next Monday, we have Kara Soletto coming on. So that'll be great. And then next Tuesday, we have Roy Tuscany. And Roy Tuscany comes from the High Fives organization. And more people with disabilities. So that's just a great show. And I'm so looking forward to having them all on. So it's going to be phenomenal. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you all being here. And as always, keep one eye